Before we begin, I want to make one thing clear. This video is not a call to get vaccinated. There is no guide to buying vaccines, and there is no miracle solution for Nipah virus either. Because for most of human history, we have faced epidemics in a world before vaccines even existed. And back then, the only thing humans had was what actually helped them survive when there were no vaccines. Nipah virus has a mortality rate of up to 75%. It can cause your brain to swell within 24 to 48 hours, and there is currently no vaccine to prevent it. But this is not the first time humanity has faced a life-threatening danger without a vaccine ready. In this video, I want to help you understand what those factors are so you know what really matters and what does not when facing Nipah virus or any other epidemic in the future. If this is your first time on my channel, I am Dr. Saul Whitman, Chief Medical Officer at Northern Institute for Society Wellness, with over 35 years treating thousands of patients with cardiovascular disease, atherosclerosis, stroke, and hypertension. And now, let's get into the video. Part 1. What protected humanity before vaccines existed? Let's turn back time to 1347, when the Black Death swept through Europe and killed nearly half the population. No vaccines, no antibiotics, no modern ICU rooms. So why did some people survive while others did not? The answer lies in three factors that many people have forgotten today. First is isolation and quarantine. The word quarantine that we heard constantly during the COVID pandemic comes from the Italian quaranta giorni, meaning 40 days, which was the period Italian port cities forced ships to wait before passengers were allowed to come ashore. They did not know about bacteria or viruses, but they knew that separating the sick from the healthy worked. Second is personal and environmental hygiene. During cholera outbreaks in the 19th century, cities with good, clean water and drainage systems had significantly lower mortality rates than those without. Think of it this way. Bacteria and viruses are like intruders, and hygiene is your home security system. Third is the body's natural immune system. When you are exposed to a pathogen, your body learns how to fight it, like a boxer learning to dodge punches after each match. Some people had stronger immune systems thanks to good nutrition, adequate sleep, and less stress, and that is why they survived. Part 2. What saved humanity before vaccines existed? Now let's talk about what actually saved human lives before vaccines came along. Research from Johns Hopkins University showed that in the 1800s, mortality from infectious diseases dropped sharply in European cities, not because of vaccines, but because of improved sanitation and clean water supply. This means that before we had any kind of vaccine, humans reduced deaths by more than 50% just by washing hands, properly disposing of waste, and staying away from sick people. Think about this for a second. Clean water, soap, and safe distance saved more lives than any miracle drug. During the SARS pandemic in 2003, the outbreak was controlled in less than 4 months without a vaccine. How? Through isolation, contact tracing, border control, and strict hygiene. All of this sounds simple, but it works because it attacks directly how viruses spread, which is from person to person or from contaminated surfaces into your body. And here's the interesting part. In many cases, these measures work better than vaccines because they do not require your body to have a perfect immune response. They simply prevent the virus from reaching you in the first place. Part 3. Vaccines are not always first to arrive. Now, I want to share something many people do not realize. Vaccines are not always the first solution, and sometimes they are not even the best solution right away. Look at Ebola. The Ebola virus was first discovered in 1976, but the first vaccine was only approved in 2019, more than 40 years later. During all that time, thousands of people survived Ebola not because of a vaccine, but because of supportive treatment, rapid isolation, and proper hygiene. The same thing happened with HIV. We still do not have an effective vaccine for HIV after more than 40 years of research, but the mortality rate has dropped dramatically thanks to antiviral drugs, education, and behavior change. Why am I saying this? Because when a new threat emerges, like Nipah virus, the first thing protecting you is not a shot that does not yet exist, but knowledge and proper action. Vaccines take many years to develop, test, and mass produce. But you can start protecting yourself today with what has been proven over centuries. Part 4, Nipah virus and the practical lesson. Now let's talk specifically about Nipah virus, because this is why you are watching this video. Nipah virus was first discovered in 1998 in Malaysia when there was an outbreak among pig farmers. Since then, it has caused outbreaks almost annually in Bangladesh and India, with mortality rates ranging from 40% to 75%. To put this in perspective, this means that out of every 4 people infected, 3 people could die. And here is the scariest part. Nipah can cause encephalitis, which means your brain swells up. And this can happen within just 24 to 48 hours after you start showing symptoms. Some people survive the initial infection, but then face long-term neurological problems like memory loss, seizures, and personality changes. Even worse, the virus can lie dormant in the body for months or years and then reactivate, causing death. So how do you protect yourself from something like this when there is no vaccine? Research from the National Institute of Health in Bangladesh showed that nearly half of primary infections were related to drinking date palm sap, a traditional drink harvested from date palm trees. Fruit bats, which are the natural host of Nipah, often urinate and leave saliva on these trees at night, contaminating the sap. So the first preventive measure is to avoid raw date palm sap or unwashed fruit in areas where fruit bats live. This is not complicated science. This is understanding how the virus moves from animals to humans. About 1/3 of cases are due to person-to-person transmission. This means if someone in your family or community is sick with symptoms like fever, cough, difficulty breathing, or confusion, you need to isolate them immediately and seek medical care. Wear a mask, wash your hands with soap for at least 20 seconds, and avoid direct contact with body fluids. These are the same things doctors in Bangladesh did to stop outbreaks from spreading wider. Part 5, why many people have lost faith in vaccines. Now I want to address a major issue that many of us feel but do not know how to say. Why do so many people today doubt vaccines when vaccines have saved millions of lives? The answer is not simple, but a large part is due to how we talk about vaccines. For many decades, public health messaging has focused almost entirely on vaccines, as if they were the only solution to every infectious disease. But this has inadvertently made people forget the basics, the things that saved our ancestors before vaccines existed. When people feel pressured to get vaccinated without understanding why or without seeing other options discussed, they start to doubt. And here is what I want to make clear. Vaccines are an excellent tool when they are available, well-tested, and appropriate for the situation. But they are not the only tool, and they are not always the first tool. When we only talk about vaccines and ignore the importance of hygiene, nutrition, isolation, and timely medical care, we are leaving people uninformed. We are taking away their autonomy in protecting their own health. And that is why some people feel betrayed when they realize there is much more they can do besides waiting for a shot. Nipah virus is a perfect example. There is currently no vaccine, and there may not be one for many years to come. But that does not mean you are helpless. It means you go back to the basics, the things that have worked for thousands of years. Good hygiene, avoiding exposure to sources of infection, early isolation, and prompt medical care. So we have gone through a long journey from the time of the Black Death to SARS, from Ebola to Nipah today. And if there is one lesson running through everything we just talked about, it is that humans have always found ways to survive before having any kind of medicine or vaccine. They did it by understanding how disease spreads, by separating the sick from the healthy, by keeping clean hygiene, and by taking care of the body so the immune system can fight at its best. These things are not flashy, not quick, and not easy to sell like a miracle pill, but they have worked for thousands of years, and they are still working today. With Nipah virus, you do not have to sit there and feel helpless while waiting for a vaccine that may or may not appear. You can take action right now by avoiding known sources of infection, protecting yourself from exposure to sick people, maintaining strict personal hygiene, and seeking medical care early if symptoms appear. If one day there is a vaccine for Nipah, I will talk about it. But today, what protects you is not in a shot that does not yet exist, but in proper understanding and timely response. If you found this video helpful, share it with your loved ones so they know how to protect themselves from Nipah and future threats without having to wait for a miracle solution. Like my video so it gets recommended to more people, and subscribe so we meet again in future tips. I really want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever thought about what really protected us before vaccines existed? Share your story. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.